Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It is Lewis Ridley here, and I want to talk about something that's really fun. And I'm kind of like passionate about the idea. And I just want to start a conversation with you guys about what you think, and if anyone can send me in any direction or any papers or articles that I can read to kind of further my understanding. But I have a background in linguistics. Okay. Now, that's basically it. All I covered in my program at the University of Adelaide was revivalistics, which is the revival of lost languages or sleeping dormant languages like Maori, Hebrew, and Ghana, Bangla, a few other languages. We did like semantics, phonology, social linguistics, a little bit of psycholinguistics, phonology, semantics, syntax, morphology, just the basic kind of stuff. And we covered a lot of it, cross-cultural communication, translation theory, all that kind of stuff. But we didn't get much into neural networks and how language is just a pattern recognition machine. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because there was a podcast that I did with Hakeem Bida, who has this idea that universal grammar theory and Noam Chomsky is on the way out. In saying that, obviously, a lot of his stuff is valid, but artificial intelligence is kind of disproving this idea. And what I mean by that is you got to ask yourself, what does it mean to speak? What does it mean to communicate? Now, if you think communication is just transferring meaningful ideas from one place to another, then you can do that with AI. What's even crazy with AI is you can say, tell me about it. And then it'll say, what do you mean by it? And then you say, oh, it is bananas. Okay, cool. And then it'll tell you about bananas. And you say, tell me more about it. And it can use the prior understanding of what it meant by what you gave it, so the meaningful information, to a unintelligent intelligence, which we call AI. And it can understand what you mean by it just by telling it. That's like me going up to you and saying, did you hear about the goopity gackety? And you might be like, what's that? Oh, goopity gackety is just kind of, I don't know, let's call it skibbity toilet. What does that mean? Oh, it's just a meme that can da-da-da-da, and you explain it. And then you say, yeah, so tell me about the goopity gackety. Isn't that funny? And then they laugh because they understand it. There is no difference there. No difference. Like the AI can understand based on context exactly what what I just did. We could just go goopity gackety equals skibbity. What even is that? This is how language is birthed. So the question I have is AI going to get, is AI's brain the same as a human brain when it comes to language development? Because Noam Chomsky argues that there is this intrinsic part of our brain that can interpret and understand grammar. We know what parts of language are innately, in which how we can use them. Now, that's either true or false, but it seems to be false because we can program this innateness in a computer. So it's either we've got the soul of a human being embedded into a quantum computer that is ChatGPT, so we've kind of taken the Chomsky idea and thrown it into a computer, or we can artificially program the language processes and the kind of neural network artificially. Now let's hear me out here. We've got zeros and ones. Now, I don't want to get into philosophy, but kind of can't help it. You've got predestinations, right? Now, I don't want to talk about where I stand with that, but I believe there is a free will, but it's kind of like a libertarian controlled free will. I think like 1 + 1 will always equal 2, in the same way that if I'm going to punch you in the face, my fist is probably going to hit you in the face. Now, if we can predict where motion goes, okay, we can predict the outcome. Okay, so that is kind of the idea of predeterminism, which makes sense to me. I understand that. But obviously, it feels as which I have free will, but you could argue that if you could, on the micro, take apart every movement in my body and map its direction, you could argue that it's going to be placed in an outcome that's predictable based on the net forces kind of, if two things are hitting this way, we know they're going at this speed, we know they've got to hit, we can calculate where it's heading. If you could do that on a trillionth scale when it comes to my atoms, you could argue the outcome. I believe that's theoretically possible in my short, limited understanding of quantum mechanics and physics and A plus B equals C type thing. Anyway, is language the same? Now that's the question that I have. Is language the same? Well, AI seems to be proving that. But that goes to show, is that really the case? And I don't know. Can you theoretically program what I'm saying next? Because if AI can infer based on what I'm telling it, can it use what I'm telling it to infer what it's going to say next? We have predictive text. Yes, at the 17th word when you tap predictive text, it's a bit weird, but the first 3 make sense. The first 4 make sense. It seems to be this pattern recognition machine. Now, we are pattern recognition machines. That's how we have language. That's how we have habits. That's how we have culture. We have all these things because we're pattern recognition machines. The question is, if you could have 5,000 billion brains that could recognize patterns past, hello, how are you? My name is Lewis, to, like, I feel like my brain is going crazy right now. Does that make any sense? Like, what if AI could predict, based on previous understandings, outcomes that we can't even comprehend? Wow. And the other question I have would be, does AI function on the same language programming pattern recognition as humans do? I don't know. There seems to be a gap in their brains that we can't quite understand. Could be consciousness, could be the spirit, the soul, some unpredictable quantum mechanic 0 and 1 thing at the same time, but once you take a photo of it, it's one or the other. There could be some sort of collection of ideas that formulate this ambiguity that cannot be predicted on a computer system. When I say predicted, it doesn't mean it couldn't be replicated. Just because we can't predict what's happening in our brain doesn't mean we can't reproduce the ambiguity in a computer, which we have quantum. We have quantum realm, we have quantum mechanics. We know that stuff is whack. It makes no sense. Observation effect, all these things. So what's this space? My friend Hakeem and I are going to be trying to look more into this. I won't give anything away, but I love it. If you guys could just prompt me some ideas on other groundbreaking evidence when it comes to language in the brain and how that works with AI, because linguistic theory is changing. The way we view language and interpretation and communication, it's like the mycelium in our podcast Hakeem was talking about can communicate because they exchange meaningful ideas. If I say bonjour, does that mean I speak French? Things are moving fast, and us humans need to try to figure out understanding before their understanding surpasses our peace when we get a bit concerned about what's happening. But that's my idea. That's my 5 cents. I just want to encourage you guys to don't fall behind AI. Understand it, use it, find its weaknesses. I love AI if you're conscious. When I say find your weaknesses, I mean we all have our flaws, and figure out how it's different to the brain. And I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, because it's quite fascinating to me. But a bit of a short one. Just wanted to share my thoughts about language in the brain and artificial intelligence based off the podcast that Hakeem and I had, which was a little bit informal. But yeah, awesome, guys. Well, please comment down below and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, I'm new to this, but I want to keep making videos because it's so much fun.